Hello BookTube, my name is Mike Frost. Welcome to my channel. This channel used to be called the Postmodern Poetry Prognosticator, but because of a family health issue that required my immediate and prolonged attention, I have been inactive on BookTube for over a year. And I thought I would come back and be active again. I'm trying to be active again, but I'm going to leave the channel under my name rather than what it used to be called, because I want to do videos other than poetry. But I thought if I was going to come back into BookTube, I thought I would come back using poetry. And what better chance than Poetry Thursdays. So this is my first Poetry Thursday poem, and I thought I would go with a Victorian poem because it's also Victober. And when I think of Victorian poetry, my mind immediately goes to Alfred Lord Tennyson. I think he's the greatest Victorian poet. My favorite poem by him is In Memoriam of A.H.H., a fantastic poem. I think it's his best poem. And this one, the poem that I'm going to do is Break, Break, Break. It's actually untitled, but that's what it's usually called, Break, Break, Break. And it's related to the In Memoriam poem because it was written about the same person, A.H., a friend of his who passed away. And he's mourning that person in this poem and in Memoriam, which is a very long, why I'm not doing that poem is it's a very long poem. So this is to the same person, but a shorter poem. So I thought I would share it with you. This is from Alfred Lord Tennyson. It's untitled, but it's called Break, Break, Break. Break, break, break on thy cold gray stones, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Oh, well for the fisher boy that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh, well for the sailor lad that he sings in his boat on the bay. And the stately ships go on to their haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of the voice that is still. Break, break, break at the foot of thy crags, O sea. But the tender grace of the day that is dead will never come back to me. So that's one of Tennyson's better poems, I think, and he shows his great control of meter and rhyme and stanzas. The stanzas are perfectly broken. And it's one of those poems that, like the In Memoriam poem, that I have to read and it causes immediate melancholy. But rather than go too far into that, I can't read that poem. And that was, it says down here at the bottom, it was published in 1842. He wrote it in the 1830s, but it was published in 1842. But I don't know how many, we're coming madly approaching Halloween, and I can't read that poem without thinking about Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee. And it's the rhythms of this. Now, Edgar Allan Poe does not have the same control of meter that Tennyson has. He's a little bit wilder and a little bit more predictable in his meter. But if you hear the Break, Break, Break poem and then hear this about Annabel Lee, which was, I believe, published in like 1849 or something like it. It was late 1840, so it's well after this the Tennyson poem was published. But I'll read just the first and the last stanzas of Annabel Lee. It's a familiar poem, so maybe you'll, but hear the sounds and compare it to the Break, Break, Break. So Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe, who was born the same year as Tennyson. It was many and many a year ago in the kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. And I'll just go to the last stanzas so you can get the idea of the sounds of what I'm really trying to get at here. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. I can't help but think that Edgar Allan Poe was influenced by Tennyson's poem, especially Break, Break, Break. The sounds are too similar. I get that they're ballads, but that there's similarities in the meter, although Tennyson's got much tighter control and uses variations far better than Edgar Allan Poe. But I'm still a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. He might not be the poet that Tennyson is, but he's a fun poet. I love reading him. And as we madly approach the Halloween season, you know I'll be taking down my collection of Edgar Allan Poe and Lovecraft and going through those poems for Halloween. But this is Victober. I thought I'd start with a poem, Break, Break, Break by Alfred Lord Tennyson, so that you get a feel for that, and Poetry Thursday. Thank you, BookTube, and I'm glad to be back.